Welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to give you a few tips on working on your balance. Maybe you're recovering from an injury, maybe you just really haven't had good balance in general, maybe your wrists and ankles are a little weak. So I'm going to try and help you engage more muscles and come in with your breath, using your breath to help you find your balance. So in different places, whether it be on your hands and knees, whether it be standing, whether it be on your hands. So just a few tips that you can work on, and then you can go check out one of my videos, either the beginner or the intermediate version of balancing poses, and see how you do, and come back time and time again for practice. So to start, come to just hands and knees and take a moment and just kind of find your balance on all fours, right? So there's going to be a place where you're going to be feeling comfortable, confident, and solid. Draw up through the lower belly. So a lot of core action, not only the front body of your core, but also your back body of your core needs to be engaged to help for balance. So pause there and just kind of notice how it feels. And then just if you lift one hand, you just notice that you kind of bring your weight more to one side. Now if you bring your hand back down, bring your other hand up, if you bring it too fast, you might tend to fall over, right? So you want to bring it up nice and slow. And again, that helps with your breath. So when you use your breath, use your whole breath to come in and out of the poses. So from here, bring one foot to the center line, so one knee to the center line. Extend the opposite leg long, right? And then just hover that leg. And just kind of notice how it feels. And then as you inhale, come up onto the fingertips. Exhale, extend the opposite hand long. So you'll find your balance. And a lot of times people come into this, they just kind of throw themselves into it, they're not engaged, and they kind of flail around. So drop in through the lower belly, push through the heel, and then extend through the arm. That's going to help you find your balance. And then just to balance it out, try the other side. So come in with your breath. So foot to the middle line, that's going to find your balance, your foundation. And then bring that opposite leg up. And then bring the opposite hand forward. And so as you waver, that's fine. Drop in through the lower belly. Lift and extend. And then bring it back down. Good. And then just take a moment. Notice how that feels. Check in. So you really have to notice you're using your whole core and as well as your glutes and your quadriceps to keep everything nice and engaged. So let's try a little bit of balancing maybe on our hands. And a lot of times with balancing on our hands, it's people don't tend to go far enough forward, so they lose that balance. So from here, we're going to do one hand, one foot. So hands down. Take your right knee to the ground and then turn yourself over toward the right. Left leg's going to go long. So again, this might be a balance already. So keep your hand down and then slowly hover, hand to your hip. Right, so we're already a balance. Now press into the hand, back leg lifts. So a little side plank action. Top arm can reach when you're ready. Good, and you're breathing. So that's one variation of side plank. If you're ready for full version, press into the hand, shoulders right over that wrist, shoulders are stacked, and then press into that extended leg, start to hover the bottom leg, and maybe bring it in front of that leg. So now you're on one hand and 2 feet. As you get better, stack your feet, and then maybe lift your hand. As you get better, maybe lift your gaze. Right, so now you're balancing on one hand. Good, go ahead and bring that back down. Bring your knees down and pause. So again, the slower you come into things, the better it's going to be. Give that a try on the other side or continue on with me. Next one, balancing maybe on 2 hands. So a little bit of crane pose or bakasana. So when you come into that bakasana, you need a little bit more flexibility, but not a ton. What you want to try and do is you're going to try and press your knees your elbows into your knee creases. So that's the first version. So maybe you're a beginner at this, right? So you're going to come down into a nice little squat, up on your toes. Knees and elbows are going to press into one another. So you're pressing out with your elbows, hands plant shoulder width apart. Knees are going to press back into those elbows. So you're finding a little bit of cat pose in your upper back. Now shift forward, shift forward, shift forward. Good. A lot of people don't shift forward enough, so all they do is this. They're not really finding any balance. Keep shifting, look forward, point one toe. Squeeze in, and then see if that other toe will lift. Right? Maybe one toe lifts, other toe lifts, maybe both lift. Right? But really shift the weight forward. Find your balance. right? That's all you're trying to find is balance, not necessarily strength. Same thing goes for if you're maybe a little bit more advanced in this pose. Knees now are going to come to the backs of the elbows. Squeeze in, find that cat pose, look forward, and again, one toe lifts, find cat pose, maybe the other toe lifts, heels to bum, and come back down. So playing with that. Now if we take it up towards standing, right? Standing poses tend to be a little bit more challenging. When you're using standing poses, it's good to have a good foundation. So if you have too thick of a mat, you might want to step off your mat. If you're on the carpet, it's definitely going to be a lot harder. You might need a chair nearby. So with your standing poses, again, find your balance on both feet first. Good. And then shift your weight to one leg. Lift the other leg, just hover it for a moment. So hovering that. Pull everything in, lower belly draws in, and then draw the knee out to the side. So tree pose is very common. And then instead of trying to hoist that leg up all the way up here and then you fall out, just bring the knee up to where you can and then notice where it goes. If it ends up on your knee, bring it down lower. So you don't really have to bring it up. If you're comfortable enough to bring it up slowly, pause, press in, pause. But a lot of times I just like to work down here. So notice you're here and breathe. Good. And then we'll do the other side. So again, notice, ground down into that leg, hover first, then lift higher, then slowly inhale, open, inhale, inhale, inhale. Notice your balance might waver here. And then slowly on your exhale, bring the foot in. So a lot of times people want to just go really fast and then they lose their balance and then they're coming back in and they can't hold it because they're not using their breath. So find your balance first and then keep your balance as you move into the pose. Good, then once you're there, keep everything active and then go ahead and release. So a lot of times you're working on those little ligaments and tendons in your ankles. If you've had injuries on one foot or the other, it's going to take a little bit longer to strengthen those and get those used to standing again. Same goes for any other postures that you're doing, right? Your balance is going to waver, but go in with your breath. So you can do another popular pose, is usually dancer pose or a variation of. So again, ground down into your feet. Shift your weight to one side. Hands to your hips, draw one heel to your bum. And then slowly take your hand back, grabbing for that ankle. Press foot into hand, lift the chest, find your foundation first, and then start to lengthen the leg back. Keep lifting up through the belly, maybe extend the opposite hand. Good, and then inhale, come back to center line, and release it down. So again, maybe try that on the other side, or try the other side, maybe go into another one, which is half moon. And a lot of people treat, when they do half moon, which is a standing kind of forward side bend, they don't use a block and their hamstrings are really tight, so they can't find their balance because they're too worried about that tight hamstring. Use your block, have that out in front of your foot. So place your foot and your block away from each other, maybe about 1.5 feet away apart. And then bend into that front knee, stand on it, place your hand on the block. And now take that back leg, lift it to the sky. Open the chest, right? Open the hip. That back leg's pointing out toward the side, and then really engage this back leg. If this back leg's heavy, it's just gonna pull you down, right? So you have to engage that one. And notice with the block, I have more lift, so now my standing leg can get strong and start to find balance. Good, breathe. And then over time, with this pose, block can come down as your hamstrings lengthen, and then maybe even that top arm will lift. When you come out of poses, go just as slowly, bending into it, pressing down, and releasing. So play time and time again with that. Give it some time and practice. Things will get better with the practice. But most importantly, come in with your breath. Come in slowly. Use the whole breath and try to resist that teeter-totter action. Especially in a class, I know it gets frustrating if you know you're only going to be there a few poses and you really want to get into it. But it's better to be there for a good 2 full breaths than coming in and out of it for the entire time. So hopefully that's helped you a little bit with balancing. Give those couple practices a try that I mentioned at the beginning. They'll also be linked at the end of this video. Hope you have a lovely day. Thanks for tuning in. drink lots of water, eat your veggies, and wear some sunblock. We'll see you next time. Namaste.